Yes, you could be sitting in the Hall of Fame and the world would know your name. You're live on Joy 99.7 FM, and this is Personality Profile. Of course, it's a lovely Thursday evening, and you know, when I take my seat like this, it means I have some amazing guests in the studio to tell their story, and probably we get to learn a thing or two from it. So welcome aboard. You can actually sit back, relax, and enjoy. Or better still, you can actually get onto our Facebook page. The video for this conversation is live. You can actually watch us and share your comments in there. Share it in your WhatsApp groups and let the world know that Personality Profile with Lexis Bill is live. And this evening, I have a very special brother. We're actually bringing it home this evening. Yeah, we're home this evening on Personality Profile. One of our own, a brother, colleague, and one of the hardest working journalists in the country. I'll tell you a story. About 17 years ago, somewhere in Ishai, so I don't know how you run about. I met a man in the corridors of Capital Radio. He was busily writing epistles in the newsroom, with commanding diction, delivering the news and, doing some good work in the newsroom. This man, since then, has dedicated his life to telling the stories of the harshest realities in Ghana on various topics. Yeah, for over 2 decades, he has worked as a journalist, covered hundreds of reports on political and social issues, and in recent times, more dangerous societal problems like illegal mining. In fact, Asantehene Otunfosetutu II has lauded his efforts in helping nip the Galamsey menace in the bud. That was when he presented his award, the 2022 Pavansa Journalist of the Year Award that he won at the recently held GJA Awards. He has worked on notable stories, mostly about human rights and child abuse. He covered the disturbances in Nigeria a few years ago that led to the killing of 2 people. And through his reportage, a commission was set up to investigate the happenings on that day. Indeed, he was actually hauled before the commission to provide evidence, and he was interrogated extensively. Now, these are just a few of the reports that he has worked on. Assistant news editor with a multimedia group, and of course, best journalist of the year at the GJA Awards, Erastus Asare Donkor. Bema.
Unia.
Akwaba.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the same.
Yanko Pandaroma, Yatimkum.
Oh, na FCC.
Oh, Medas.
Unya award dear.
My
Charlie, good to see you. Good to see you.
Great to see you.
Congratulations.
My brother from another mother.
Yes, sir. Life goes full circle, doesn't it?
It does. It's a global village, I tell you.
Congratulations, brother.
Thank you.
And I don't know whether you'd say this is probably the highlight of your career. The best moment. Would you say so?
Yeah, of course. The best moment. And it's like I'm sitting on a high horse now.
Yeah? That's right.
Yeah, relishing the moment.
Yeah.
But sometimes I sit down and I recount, my life starting from nobody.
Yeah.
Typically nobody. You wouldn't even blink if you see me on the streets. And to now have my name being a household name across the country. God has really been merciful.
Yeah.
And he has stayed true to his word. And it means that if you have faith in him and you work hard, you can move mountains.
Do you feel fulfilled? Do you feel that all the work that you've put in all the years, it has paid off?
It has. I feel fulfilled. I know that there's more to do. And so I don't regret, making all the sacrifices that I made. I think it paid off. And there's one thing I keep saying all the time. If you have a job, you're given an opportunity to work. If you don't like the job, then quit. But if you choose to stay in the job, then go at it with all your might, because one, you are improving yourself and you are improving the platform and opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, the recent notable report that you covered was Distraction for Code.
Yeah.
Which took you to Menchia. Actually, was it today or yesterday?
Yesterday.
when you met Otumfuo, said it was the second and presented, and he actually even talked about how there's still a war going on the Galamsey menace and
In
whatnot.
fact, that's the second time I've been to the Menchia Palace to meet Otumfuo.
Yeah.
The first was to present a copy of the Distraction for Gold documentary to him.
Okay.
And that's the same documentary that won the award.
Yeah.
And I went to show him the award.
Yes.
Yeah.
How did he feel about it?
You could see from all indications that he was so happy. And when he called me to his side, he kept saying, he was reading the plaques and saying, this is huge. This is huge for you.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you. You've actually done well. I admire your courage. That's what he was telling me before he started speaking. And to me, to have such words coming from the occupant of the golden stool,
yes,
that is something.
That's huge.
That's something. I tell you, that's something. And that moment can stay with you forever.
Yeah.
And I have some pictures to show as well. So.
Well, you should share the pictures so we actually throw it out there. You know what I mean? Because
they're on my Facebook page.
Yeah.
I want to hang them in my room as well.
But that particular documentary, from where we sit, we saw it as probably the most challenging thing that you've done. Would you say so?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I've done other ones, and to me, the one that I really feared for my life, and I thought my life had come to an end, was the Ejura.
Was the Ejura one?
Reporting.
Yeah.
In fact, for a moment, I said my last prayer.
In Ejura?
Yes, because we were this close to dying.
Wow.
And bullets flying all around you. And at the point I felt that this is it. So this is how people die. That's what I kept saying in my head. So this is how people die. So this is how death looks like. So we could die any moment because the way bullets are flying. In fact, the man who was following us closely, we heard people shouting downstairs. We were at the top of a building, and they were shouting downstairs that, he's been hit. And I peeked through the window, and I saw blood all over the street. But I couldn't see his body. So at that point, I knew that the one who was following us directly got hit. And then there was a transformer behind us where we were reporting. A bullet went through, and it was leaking fuel like that. And we were standing just there. It was just behind us. So at that moment, I thought anything could happen. So I told the camera guy, keep filming.
You told him to keep filming?
Yes, let's do it.
Let's capture our last moment.
Yes, let's keep on reporting until something happens. And I think the prayer that I always say before I go on such reports was answered by God that day. He saved me, gave me another chance, a second chance. And just because we were also trying to film the truth, here we were looking at people being shot on the streets, and other journalists who were there had run away, and we were there. And so we had to give evidence so that somehow people will get to know the truth. And so maybe he gave us our own truth and said, it is not the time to die.
Wow.
The second moment that gives me chills whenever I remember is the one in the forest where we're
And this is Distraction for Gold?
Yes, it was part of Distraction for Gold. And we had gone there with a government task force. There were people who were destroying the Apamprama Forest Reserve. And in fact, today when you go there, the forest is no more. It's gone.
It's gone?
Yeah. And if we had died that day, we had died for nothing. And, we entered the place, was within the forest. We had driven for like 4 hours deep into the forest.
4 hours in the forest?
We started around 3 a.m. We got there around 7 something. And they had mounted structures all over. There were some Chinese miners, lots of them. And the task force arrested some of them. They brought them up. And then they started searching room to room. So I was filming. The camera guy was filming, and I also leading the pack. Then we saw military uniforms. Lots of them. We also saw a rifle. Normally, the military, they don't leave their rifles. So then at that moment, I felt like, no, it's not just one, it's not two, it's not three. There could be a number of military personnel here. So what is happening here? What is so special? Because what they are doing there is illegal. You have mercury and other things all over. Chinese people mining in the forest. So what will a military person be doing in this forest? Before we could say Jack, some young military guy drove a Tundra into the environment, and then he questioned what we were doing in there. He was angry. Then he picked the phone, started calling and telling them that some media men and some policemen are there. Then within 15 minutes to 20 minutes, the whole place was crawling with over 35 fully armed military men. One pickup will drop and then they will get down. Another pickup will drop and they will get down. Plenty. And then there was anger, exchanges, verbal exchanges, heated arguments between our own task force and them. They were all holding guns. So, if one of them had gotten really angry, and pulled the trigger, we would all have been dead by now.
Probably be a bloodshed.
Yes, because the way they were angry, if one person had, fired, that would be the end. And I kept praying in my head that nothing like that will happen.
Yeah.
The rest is history. We were kept there for like 5 hours in the forest. They wouldn't allow anybody to move an inch. And they were afraid that we were going to publish whatever is happening in the forest. So they cleared all our phones, cleared the camera. The driver wanted to park the vehicle. Well, they pounced on him, beat him, like punching him in the face. And
oh, wow.
I had to, at a point, I don't know what left me, but the fear and everything left me. So I went over to the commander and told him, you cannot do this. You can't do that. You cannot be beating my driver like that. So they left him. And we stayed there. We kept calling big shots within the military that I knew. We were calling almost everybody there. The Minister for Environment who sent us, I was calling him. He himself was helpless because I think the people who were sent there came from a more powerful source than him.
Yeah.
So he didn't know what to do. He sounded helpless on the phone.
Yeah.
I said, can you call them to call the military off? He said, it's not as easy as you think. So this is the man, the government, the minister who sent us on an errand, and he cannot even control a military contingent in the bush. So I called Elvis, the late, my late boss, and he also made some calls, and finally they said we should leave. Even when they said we should leave, the one military guy came and said, I don't trust these people, especially this. He was referring to me, this boy. I don't trust him. So let's strip them naked and search them. So at that point, the man who was in charge, we call him in charge. He's a police inspector.
Yeah.
He said, nobody is stripping anybody naked. If you want to kill us, but we're leaving. Then we left.
And you left without any footage?
When the thing started, I knew that would happen. So we devised a trick. I told my cameraman, I cannot tell you that on set, but
yes,
I told my cameraman to do something.
Yeah.
And he did. So even when they cleared the cameras and everything of the footage,
you still had something.
We were still able to recover them.
Okay.
And that's how come we put that report out there.
Yeah.
When you go on YouTube, you see that video.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another moment. That,
I mean, you come across all these very dangerous moments.
Yeah.
And you're still in it.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. There is something that drives me. And when you get to the forest and you see a forest that has been standing for hundreds of years, pillaged in such a manner that is unthinkable. Trees have been felled, over 400 of them. You need trees at Araga to make chairs and beds.
Mm-hmm.
You need trees. You need wood.
Yeah.
And somebody has been able to cut down over 400 of them and buried them. And the whole forest over there, you can drive for miles, and it's all pits and gullies. Land that you cannot use for anything. It keeps telling you that if this continues for the next 5 years, what will happen? What is your duty as a journalist? And you have children. What kind of environment will you leave for them?
Mm-hmm.
I think that is what basically drives us to do more, to keep on bringing it up, so that maybe when the public gets angry enough, they will push the authorities to do something about it.
Were there times that people tried to induce you to give up this fight?
Plenty times. Some of them I filmed them. I have one such video on the internet. They brought 40,000 cedis. They said we should use it to buy cocoa.
40,000 cedis to buy cocoa?
Yes. It was cash, bundle. Like that. After that, they've been countless times. And then I think they got to know that I won't take the money. So they sent some of them through policemen, through a number of people. My late editor, Said, received a number of them. He knows me, and he himself, he's the one who sanctions us to go out there. So
yeah,
he knows how I feel about those things. So he doesn't even entertain them at all.
Is this what you envisioned your career to be like?
I loved adventure. And I was curious too. I'm inquisitive. I'm an inquisitive person. So initially I did not start on Galamsey, and I never thought I was going to do illegal mining stories. No. But I love journalism. I love doing investigations, and I love journalism right from my childhood. I remember during my SHS days, I wanted to be a journalist. My father said no.
He said no?
Yeah, he said no. He said he wants me to be a doctor.
Okay.
At that time, there was no journalist you can emulate, except one gentleman. The whole town in Konongo, Asantiachim, there was only Nane Abema of Daily Graphic that you can point to as a journalist. And, he said Nane Abema was not rich.
But what was your passion for journalism from Nanayal or somewhere else?
I used to see children abused in my neighborhood, and it gets me mad. I don't like that at all. Women and children, if you maltreat children, you'll be on my bad side. And I didn't like it at all. So I felt like, okay, if I have a chance to do something that could get justice for people who are physically abused, I'll do it. And when at that time, I read stories about how people have been jailed and all that, and journalists are the ones who are carrying the stories. I was like, oh, then this will be good. This could be a tool that will help me get justice for people.
Yeah. So that was where the inspiration came from.
And I started doing that. I did human rights stories a lot. Through my journalism career, I've been able to rescue 5 children who have been physically abused. 2 of them I had to go to court for 4 years.
Yourself?
Myself. Because
as a witness?
Yes, as a witness. Because all the witnesses that I gathered in the case, in the end they said they've been advised not to testify in court. So I had to stand in with the investigations I have done, put them before the court and testify. Got cross-examined by lawyers. We'll go into the middle of the case, and then the judge will be transferred, and they will come back and say they want to start the whole thing again, and they will start the whole thing again. And I never missed a court date. And I remember one day, one of those cases, the two, they were a couple at Suntreso. They abused the child to the point that I think they bent the child's left hand with a hot metal. And they kept it wrapped in bandages, and they were putting salt water on it until it started deteriorating, to the point that the fingers were dropping one by one.
Wow.
And that's when somebody drew my attention. They sent the boy to Suntreso Hospital, and they lied about it. So one of the nurses called me, and I followed it up. And I investigated. I brought the real story to the doctors and nurses, and they got arrested. And I had to follow that case consistently for 4 years. And one of those court dates, Lexis, I was fine in the morning, very healthy. When it was getting to the evening, my knees and my ankles and everything were swollen. I couldn't walk. Yes, I couldn't move an inch. That was a day before the court date. And me, I'm not a spiritual person. I believe in superstition and all that. So I went to the hospital that evening, got checked. Everything was normal, but I couldn't walk. I said, no way. You take me back home. I did my own prayers, and I slept. The following morning, the pain was down a bit. I could, struggle, but I walked to the vehicle, and they took me there, virtually carried me to the courtroom. And I still gave my testimony.
I see.
After the testimony, about a day or two, I don't know what happened, but no medication, it was gone.
And it was gone?
Yeah.
Wow.
Whether it was them or it was whoever,
You wouldn't know.
It didn't really matter at the end of the day. I was able to do what I needed to do. So that child lost all 5 fingers on the left hand. But I was able to, through the stories I did, some female lawyers in Ashanti region, kudos to them, adopted the boy, took care of him he's now 9 years.
Oh, okay.
Fantastic gentleman. He calls me uncle.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah. There was another girl like that. I couldn't get somebody to adopt her, so I had to take her to the children's home.
Yeah.
And I visit her. There's currently one who we tried to save the hand, but we couldn't save all the fingers. The thumb is working, and plus some 2 fingers, but she's fine. I've been able to get scholarship for her. She's now schooling, So
I'm sure these stories make you happy. I mean, when you realize that they're doing well, you're able to make an impact and whatnot.
So fulfilling.
Yeah.
It's like a ton of gold. Sometimes you see them and the way they relate to you and all that, it makes you feel so good.
Let's talk about you. You mentioned Konongo.
Yes.
Right? That's where you grew up.
Yeah.
How was it growing up?
Oh, normal boy, very shy looking gentleman. I was extremely shy.
I see.
Yeah, extremely shy. Sometimes I get surprised that I've been able to even become a journalist, because if I'm walking and I'm facing like 2 or 3 girls, I'll have to turn around and go home.
And make sure they disappear before
I come back. I was that type. I was sitting in class. I know it, but I will never raise my hand.
Really?
Yeah.
Where do you think that came from?
I had this big belly button.
Big belly button?
Yes. It was. My mom told me it was an anomaly. Let's say medical negligence on the part of the nurses who delivered me, and they put a plaster on my navel, and I got that big belly button, so I couldn't wear a shirt and tuck in. I think
really?
that was the start of
So you had insecurities about it?
Yeah, I felt bad about it. I couldn't. I wasn't confident enough to, But it was my senior brother, the one I come after directly, who started taking me, whenever I wear shirts and I want to hide, you bring me up and say, "Child, let's go here. Be proud, be confident, move around.
Yeah.
Look at people. This is who you are. Feel okay. Don't hide." So it gave me that confidence. Wherever I went, I wasn't hiding anymore. I was following him around and all that.
This was at what age?
That was about 10, 11.
Okay.
So gradually, I got over it. And even it shrank itself. So
it shrunk by itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, with time, I was able to improve.
So you schooled in Konongo, thereabouts?
I went to Oxford International.
Yeah.
It was a big school back in Konongo.
Mm.
It's still there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's still there. And I went to Oxford International. We were the first to start the JHS program.
Okay.
And then move on to Konongo Dumasi Senior High School.
Ah.
I got a letter of admission because I had 9 1s in the BEC.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah, brilliant.
So I had a letter of admission to go to Pokuare.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad would not allow me to become a boarder. So I had to.
Why?
He said, I don't know, he had his own reasons.
Mm.
So I came to Konongo Dumasi to be close to him.
Okay.
Yeah. I wanted to do arts. He said no. I sat in an arts class. He drove me out, put me in a science class. Science did not really help me.
So you studied science?
Yeah, I studied science. Physics, chemistry, biology.
Wow.
Yeah.
You could have represented your school at the National Science and Maths Quiz.
Not me.
Right. So after secondary school, what did you do?
I would say I was not a bad boy per se, but I wouldn't.
The shy boy turned bad boy.
Yeah, I
Wow.
wouldn't listen to my father. I had this strong passion for writing and music. So I did disc jockeying.
Okay. Wow.
So I was a disc jockey for a long time, playing music in nightclubs. And there was one big nightclub in Konongo. It's called Virgin Forest. I used to spin there.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was your DJ name?
They called me DJ Rasman.
DJ Rasman.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a new one.
I was spinning there.
Uh-huh.
I used to spin. And then there was this gentleman who...
In fact, the fact that you use the word spin shows that you're an old DJ.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that you use the word spin. I was spinning
at that time, we had this machine that could match beats per minute.
Okay, yeah.
It was now coming on board,
Yeah.
We were spinning manually. Somebody brought me to Kumasi to...
Wasn't it those Newmark decks or
Yeah,
something?
Newmark. And Denon.
Yes, the Denon.
Yeah,
the
so what I was playing was Denon.
Yeah.
I played Denon for some time before Newmark came around, and then entered this PCDJ and all that.
PCG Red.
Yeah, Red. So I was playing that, and somebody brought me to Kumasi. He had a set of public address systems, so we were playing funerals and weddings and other things in Kumasi. I still had this passion for journalism. So somebody introduced me to a private journalism school in Kumasi. So I registered, went in there. The late Boache Kwakwa, who wrote for, I think, Network Herald, he taught us a lot. And through that, I went for attachment with Capital Radio. That was in 2001.
Yeah.
And I remember Sambun Swaban, the GBC editor. He's still alive. He's in Accra. I think he can hear me.
Wow.
Sambun Swaban was the GBC editor there. And I sent my letter to him for internship. And he kept telling me, go tomorrow, come at this time. Tomorrow, at that time, I'll be there. He did that to me for a whole month. And each time, I was there till he got fed up and said, okay, start the following day. That day, I was so happy.
Wow.
And I saw it as an opportunity to do what I had wanted to do all my life.
Yeah.
So I did not joke with it. I started filing reports. The first report I filed, and I had learned how to write the newspaper style. I wrote plenty, and this man got so mad. Cycled almost half of it. I said, "This is radio. You don't write plenty like that."
Yeah.
So I learned a lot within a space of a short time. I was writing beautifully. He said it, and so I did attachment when it was over. Within 6 months, I said, "Can you allow me to do more? Or would you want to employ me?" He said, "No, there's no space here." Then I want to do more internship.
Wow.
I did it for 2.5 years.
You interned for 2.5 years.
Without any salary, nothing. Just doing stories. And,
how were you getting by?
they gave me some stipends, small stipends.
Okay. But not on salary?
No, not on salary.
Wow.
Not on salary. And I was popular back then, I was doing these human rights stories. I was reporting generally, accidents, fire outbreaks, everything. I was there. I was all over the place and very popular. So people also helped me, They gave me, little support here and there.
Yeah.
And my mom used to support me so much. He would sell his clothes to give it to me. And
I can imagine interning for 2 good years.
Yes. And I think it was a baptism of fire. It really trained me to become who I am today. So I rose through the ranks. Finally, they gave me employment. My first salary was 50 cedis. It was gold. Yeah, 50 cedis. I remember. I still have the voucher.
Yeah?
They gave me to go and take it from the accountant. I still have it.
I see.
Yeah.
Mr. Okiti?
Yeah, Harry Okiti. So I took that and I worked hard, rose through the ranks to become reporter, senior reporter, news editor for that station.
I remember. I think maybe I should take over from here and talk about
because you were there
at Capital Radio, because I was with you at Capital Radio.
Yeah.
I think from 2005 thereabouts.
Yeah.
And all, and then of course, you probably the star of the newsroom.
Yeah.
With the likes of Mark Bunde, the late
Mark Bunde.
Mark Bunde.
Yeah.
One of the golden
Fine.
voices
Yeah.
of radio as well, and all, and I saw how hard you guys used to work, and
I was hungry,
yeah,
very hungry. And when you give me an opportunity, you give me a platform. I remember I told them, if you give me a platform, I'll prove to you that I can work. And they did not believe me. When they gave me a platform, an opportunity to work, I took it. In my head, yes, I needed money. But in my head, I was like, if I'm able to prove my worth, somebody, somewhere will see me. And I knew that someday I'll be big,
yeah,
through this job. And I wanted to be big through journalism.
yeah.
So I kept working at it, reading more, about how to improve journalism. When there's a new software, I'll learn it,
Yeah.
I kept improving until at a point I was the morning show host.
Right.
So
This was way after Kuku Aban.
before Kuku Aban,
That was
I
before
was
Kuku Aban?
doing it,
Okay.
when the usual host was not
around. Okay.
I
Right.
would host it. Then Kuku Aban was brought in. I was made producer.
Yeah.
Because they wanted me to still man the newsroom. So I was doing the newsroom and then producing Kuku Aban. And then at a point, Kuku Aban left. I came to host the morning show. So I would do 6 a.m., prepare my bulletin for 6 a.m., anchor it. After that, I'll do the morning show. Then come back to do editorial meetings, assign reporters. When they are gone on the field, I'll prepare my midday bulletin.
Go and read
Anchor that one.
Midday.
Then come back to do 6 p.m. Yeah. Come back to do 6 p.m. Then
No up on time then.
After 6 p.m., I'll prepare the following day's bulletin and leave the newsroom around 11. Sometimes I sleep there.
Yeah. No, I recall some of those moments.
And I did that for a very long time.
Yeah.
I did that for a very long time.
You literally had no life.
No, I had no life. I had no life. My whole life was journalism, doing stories. I had no life, and I enjoyed it, you know. So when Said, the late Said Ali Yaqub, may his soul rest in perfect peace, one day he gave me a call and said, Elton is going to Accra.
Elton Brobe.
Yes, and I have scanned the whole of Ashanti region. You are the only replacement. So why don't you switch over and come to Love FM? He said I should apply. I was having my own challenges at Capital Radio, and I think I had that the life over there had gone into my head at a point in time, so I wanted to switch. So I said, okay, so I applied. At that moment, Ultimate was also coming up. So
Ultimate FM.
They
was
also...
it with, EIB?
Yes, EIB.
Yeah.
So asked me to apply. I applied with EIB as well. They even gave me the employment earlier than Love FM. I think 2 days or so. But I really wanted to be with Love FM. I don't know why. So I remember calling Jim Agla, and telling him that after the interviews, if you think I'm the guy for it, I have other offers, but I want to work with you. So if you think I'm the guy for it, then let me know.
Let me know fast. So I make my decision.
Yeah.
Don't let me go and jump somewhere. Then
then later he come and
we want you.
So he said, okay, you give me a day.
Yeah.
So I delayed Ultimate for a day.
Yeah.
And after a day, he called me back and said, you have the job.
Okay.
I was elated.
I can imagine.
I was elated. So I saw that, okay, so the platform is big.
Yeah.
And I could do what I've always wanted to do on a bigger platform.
Yeah.
So I switched over.
And it's been how many years?
12 years.
12 years at the multimedia group.
Yes.
Wow.
I remember filing my first report, the number of calls I got. I told myself, yeah, Charlie, this is it.
This is it. Wow.
And you know, they will tell you I was filing like 5 stories in a day. To me,
now you wanted to work like a bull.
Yeah, to me it was holiday. You know, judging from where I was coming from,
yes.
I was hungry.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was filing stories here and there, and staying awake to do stories wasn't my problem at all. And at a point, people thought, yeah, slow down. You have to work smart and all that. But it was fun. It was,
yeah,
I loved.
You loved what you were doing.
Yes.
What's, through that period, especially from the Capital Radio era, where you were literally working for almost free and you were doing God knows how many hours on the job and whatnot. When you look back, what's the biggest lesson that period taught you?
Hard work, pace. That's what I said, that if you have a job, if you don't like the job and you think it's become a threat to your life or something and you want to quit, fine, you can quit. But if you really want to work and you are not quitting, then go at it with all that you've got. Because sometimes we tend to think that you're doing it for somebody. You're not doing it for anybody. You're sharpening your own skills. It took me through a baptism of fire that I knew I could work anywhere. So right now, if you put me anywhere, I'll work. I can work at the BBC. I can work anywhere. I challenge myself. If I don't know anything about what you're telling me, I'll learn. And I'll humble myself and I'll ask questions and I'll learn on the job.
Right.
And I think what we missed in the middle was when I left Capital a bit, went to Radio Ecstasy.
Right, absolutely.
But were you the one following me, or I was the one following you?
I don't know.
Because
But
when I went to Radio Ecstasy,
Yes.
you were there as
I
well.
was there.
Kelvin Taylor was there.
Calvin Taylor was there. as
Was
well.
working under me at the point.
Yes, yes.
You know.
In the newsroom.
Yes, in the newsroom.
I think we're just meant to be working together.
Of
isn't
course,
it?
and that's where Kelvin met his wife, actually.
Yes, absolutely, Marissa.
Yeah,
I remember.
in my newsroom.
Yes, yes. Oh, why you did the connection, eh?
I never knew it will get this deep.
Yeah.
They loved each other, but
Yeah.
I thought it was one of those things.
Yes.
But at a point, the
Not
guy will not
serious.
move without the lady, and I felt like, wow.
Was that affecting the news?
It wasn't. He was a photographer, and Calvin was a sports news guy.
Yes, yes.
Also working
Calvin was in
generally
the sports, yeah.
with us, sometimes working and helping us with the news as well. So he was also reading the news sometimes. So
Yes.
it wasn't affecting me, but I felt that he was taking advantage of the lady. I never knew that the lady really
Yeah.
loved him so much to the
Yeah.
point that they wanted them to marry.
Well, as news editor, you oversaw a very beautiful union.
Yeah,
And then
which has
so there you
progressed,
go.
and the rest is history.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway, lots of messages coming through. I wish I could read all of them. Erastus has a very inspiring story. I'm so enthused and impressed. God bless him. And that's from Yvonne. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, Lexis. I was in Kumasi then, and I can remember you guys all, including Erastus and the Dusty, etc. Congratulations, Erastus. Oh, you
Thank
didn't
you.
add your name. Yeah. Is that Yogi? Okay, right. Yeah. Kumasi was fun those days, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
we had
was.
some good times in there. Lexus, very inspirational stories that Erastus is sharing. Thank you. Luther in Adenta says Erastus is a gem. I pray we have at least 20 of his kind as journalists in Ghana.
Thank you.
What's your biggest regret, Erastus?
Do I have regrets? I have this sense that of life that every corner you took was for a reason. And it was although crooked, it joined paths to bring you to where you are. So there's nothing like a bad decision or a good decision. You make mistakes. We all do. We allow children to make mistakes. That's how they learn. Mistakes and downfalls are part of life. If you had chosen the other path, you wouldn't know where it would have led you.
Yeah.
So whichever one you took, what did not go well is history. At the end of the day, somebody says, whether it was a fish or a whale, there was a swallow. Somebody got swallowed. So I don't have any regrets in life. I think that the path I took, the crooked nature of it, and wherever I passed through, whoever offended me, who I offended, it brought me to where I am today.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful to God.
There you go. Mrs. Pat Busso says, congratulations to Erastus from the Rich Senior High School, Kumasi.
Thank
The
you.
students and staff are so proud of you.
Oh.
You visited our school to encourage our students.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm a quiz master.
Ah.
I love
Oh,
children.
right.
And when it came that Love FM was organizing
FM, yeah,
the primary
right.
schools quiz, I was
Yeah.
chosen as a quiz master.
Yeah.
And I've been a quiz master for about 3 years now.
Yeah.
And Rage, joined us on 2 occasions. So
Good stuff.
I love the children.
What's your greatest fear?
I'm not actually a fearful person. I'm not. I respect people, but I'm not afraid of people. And maybe my biggest fear is not being able to achieve what I stand to achieve. When you give me a job and I'm not able to, fulfill it, I have that fear that I may not meet your expectation. And I think that fear is fruitful. It drives me to work hard at it. And so when I'm doing something, I make sure that I dot all the I's and T's. I'm a meticulous person. to make sure it comes out perfect. So my fear is not getting it right.
Yeah. Okay.
In everything, my fear is not getting it right. What if I don't get it right?
If you had to pick one quality that makes somebody a great journalist, especially one that will make you a journalist of the year,
Yeah.
what would that be?
Passion. If you don't have the passion for journalism, forget it. It's not a job for you. If you're looking for money in journalism, in true journalism, you've come to the wrong place.
There's no money?
You get what you want, but if you are greedy and you want to earn where you have not sown and take, cuts and all that, you get the money all right, but to get a real name and, a good name out of journalism, no.
But have you made money?
I'm not rich, I'm not poor. God really caters for me on a everyday basis. I live life, day after day. I know that God has a purpose for me, and definitely He will not let me cry.
Would you wish for better?
I want to see my family sufficient. A house to lay my head, my own house. That's what I dream to do. A house to lay my head, my own house, to live in with my family, and to see my children through education. That's my biggest dream and vision.
Is this the part you ask for a salary raise?
I hope Kwesichum is listening.
Oh, he is. He always listens. So I'm just...
It's long overdue.
Okay, all right. I think this is where we end the interview, isn't it?
You're a very bad boy.
You deserve it, bro. You deserve it, man. Congratulations.
Thank you, man.
Thank you so much for spending time with me here on Personality Profile. Erastus Asare Donkor. My brother Samuel Asare says, look, great interview as always. Very inspiring story from Erastus. I totally agree. He's an inspirational man. He's got a great story, and we are glad that we got to share it with you today. GJA Journalist of the Year, the PAV answer Journalist of the Year, Erastus Asare Donkor. I'm Lexis Bill. Thank you so much for spending time with us. Uncle Ken is standing by. Good to see him. He's going to be on your radio very shortly. It's 8 o'clock. Let's find out what's happening in news.